Hey guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Bob.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Dan.
And this is Board Game Rundown. Today, we are going to review Richard Garfield's The Hunger from Renegade Games. So, The Hunger is a deck-building board game.
Yeah,
So,
basically.
sort of like Clank.
Yeah.
You are building your deck, and you are all these. Everybody's their own vampire. We're venturing out from the castle, spiraling out, right, going farther and farther and farther. Hunting humans and adding cards to our deck. Humans don't really contribute a lot of positives.
Indigestion.
Yeah. But they do give you a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you can get all the way to the very end, you can grab a rose. But then before turn 15, you must make it back to the castle to get full points. We played on Elder mode, which is the harder version.
Yeah.
So you had to get back into the cemetery to get at least -5, but still score your whole total. And on the other side of the board is a easier mode, rookie mode. And so anywhere in the mountains, I believe it's like -10.
Yeah, it's something.
And then -5. I haven't looked
Okay.
for a minute. So anyways, but yes, it's negative points unless you get back to the castle. If you do get back to the castle, you also will get an additional
Bonus
victory
points.
point token. So, I got 10 because I got back to the castle. Oh, wait, I'm the only one that got points because I was the only one to get back to the castle.
Okay, I wasn't going to bring it up.
Yeah.
Okay, but, normally the first time you play a game, you're a rookie at it, right? And you're trying to figure out how it works, learn the mechanics, see how things pop up. And, we didn't play the rookie side. Otherwise, I would have won.
Bob,
So-
how many times have you played through Clank Legacy?
Once.
How many times have you played Clank?
Many.
Okay, so this is pertinent because
Yes.
it says a similar mechanic.
Correct. However, with Clank, you're limited by who gets out first, not by a limited number of turns.
But you also then, right, I mean, that
Which is
a timer.
definitely what I was going to say earlier when you said it's a deck building game. It's a deck building, engine building game, right? But it is definitely a push your luck game too. Like
Oh, yeah.
more
Yes.
so than Clank and stuff.
Correct.
You really have to math out you have to remember how you're building your deck. Okay, what cards have I taken? How many zeros do I have? How many threes do I have? How many fours do I have? How far can I go in a set amount of rounds before I need to start booking back? And based on what cards I have, the odds of me getting back, like there's a lot of that in this game that I wasn't expecting for sure. The two biggest things are definitely the how far do you go push your luck thing we just didn't know, and
didn't go
which
far.
card mechanics are good are definitely the two things that like you got to kind of look at before you start, because we know now, and you guys should know because you'll want to know, pretty much get any movement card you can get.
Yeah.
Like teleporting, skipping spaces.
Form of the bat.
They're
Yeah.
game changing.
Yeah.
And we didn't know that.
Literally won me the game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like
It's the
specifically,
only reason he got
He
back.
would have come in last.
Yeah.
no,
Yes,
Jeff
you
would have
would've.
come in last.
You wouldn't have had those 10 extra points.
Shut up. I would have lost by 1 point.
Yeah, you would have come in last by 1 point, but
That's
because
right.
he made it back with the 2 movement cards, like that's crazy
Huge.
how important they are.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, so like most deck builders, it's tough to thin your deck, but there are ways
To digest those
to
humans.
digest the humans, right?
Yeah.
There are ways that you can kind of bury them. You still get the points; they just don't go back to your discard pile and then through your deck and so on and so forth. There are also the familiars. So they also will thin out your deck because they will, once you play them, they're going to stay in play unless somebody
Yeah.
makes you discard
Permanents, yeah.
them. So that helps, and they usually confer different abilities depending on different things like hunting or not hunting. Maybe bonus hunts, things like that,
Things
right?
Yep.
But then, other than that, yeah, you could be buying vampiric powers, you could be buying familiars. The
There's a set
villagers
collection kind of
the
thing.
villagers belong usually to different types of sets, so there's specifically different spaces on the map where you can digest them.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and it looks like, from my experience,
One
at
of
least
each?
on this side, it's one of each, and
Yeah.
it is tough, right?
It is
because
tough.
the
You gotta
nobles
land
are all
right on it.
the nobles are all the way back there. And you say land right on it, but you don't have to use all of your
Sure.
movement.
You don't have to use all your
So you
movement.
can choose to
stop.
stop. And then what I like, so when you play all your cards, you're going to have speed values on them, and that's going to tell you basically how many movement points you have. But you also need movement points to catch the villagers.
Correct.
And so this row of 3, you have to spend 3 speed to scoop
catch
up one of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the row of 2, and then there's the row of 1. Now, they can pile up in other areas, but in the row of 1, for sure, as they stack up, you take that whole pile.
Right.
So
There
when
could be
you-
some negatives in there too.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are definitely characters with like negative speed values. There are definitely characters that are like, you can't hunt this turn.
Yep.
Now, there's a nice way of the mechanic where when you lay out your hand, you're going to choose what order to resolve your cards. So you might be able to discard those hunting cards or digest them or something, right? Before they
deal with that effect.
Before you have to deal with that effect. But other than that, similar to other games that we have played that are kind of like this, there are little treasure tokens you can get. What I really like and thought this was neat is that on the icons on the board, it's got like closed treasure chests. That means that token is secret, right? So it's face down on there. And then there's open treasure chests, so you know exactly what those ones, what those do for you.
Yeah,
I thought that was a nice little touch. You can go to the inns, which have a blood drop on there, and you can pick up this whole stack of missions.
Cemeteries.
The inns?
Well,
cemeteries.
It's like an inn, I guess, if you're undead.
The inn is over here. They are the cemeteries. Whoops. Yeah, you go to the cemeteries, and you can grab different missions. And it's nice because it also lets you get rid of missions that you're not
trade
using.
them in with the pile.
You can trade them in and draw better missions, maybe, right? Or missions maybe you're just built better for.
Yep.
The inn here always will have, well, maybe not always, but we'll have up to 3 cards in there. You can hunt there for cheaper. It's at a 2. And if you hunt there, you basically pick one of those cards and add it to your pile. And then, you're going to score points based on the value of the card, right? So the powers and the familiars usually aren't going to give you any blood, any points,
correct,
any blood for buying them. But these guys will give you, the humans are going to give you points. And then the further out you are, the more points they're worth. So if you're out here, it's +2. If you're in the plains area, it is +1. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, right? I mean, I hate the rule book. I think the rule book has some things that are worded weird. There's like just a nice little turn summary somewhere.
We had a couple questions about like
no player aid.
How certain specific rules played out because of the wording.
Yeah, the only thing that I saw personally, because Tim handled most of the rule book, which is why he's commenting on it. But the only thing that I saw personally that I had to like ask for the rule book from Tim was because they used the word replace in a certain spot when they meant return. No, they just meant they just meant pick it up and then put it back. But they used the word replace it. And in that same conversation is talking about swapping out the quests you already have with the quests here. So by replace, they're not talking about the swapping, they're talking about the putting back. But like, then why don't you just use the word return, which is a much more noticed, like a recognized word for that meaning. Like that was just so weird. I
replace can be taken multiple ways.
And we all, and to be fair to you, like as much as I'd like to give you a hard time about not understanding English,
words,
I do feel like that use of it was awkward. It was clunky.
Yeah, it was just weird.
And again, like, so I was, I was asking somebody who has played the game before, and I'm like, it just seems like your intuition. The game's very intuitive and plays the way you think it should, but then the rules will confuse you. And then you go back and you go through and fine-tooth comb and discuss it, and then it's like, well, it's what we thought it was all along. So you do waste some time with that. Now, once you know how to play the game, I think it's going to be very quick and very easy. I love the way the turns work as you're moving out, and then you flip your dude over to show that you've moved, and the furthest person away from the castle goes first. And then when you're rushing back, right? So normally the furthest one out is the one closest to maybe getting more points.
Which felt weird at the beginning because it's almost rich get richer. The person who's furthest out goes first and gets to take advantage of a lot of stuff.
First pick up the cards.
Right. But then that's because halfway through the game when you start heading back, all of a sudden it becomes a balancing mechanic, catch-up mechanic now, to where the person furthest away gets to go first and try to catch back up. So I guess it technically rewards you both ways.
Sure.
But it is still also a catch-up mechanic. That was interesting. I wasn't expecting that because the mechanic doesn't change, but it feels like it changed.
But because the map, the direction basically reverses. Now, that's not to say that at any point in time, once you start your move in a direction, you have to commit to that direction. But you can go back and forth and hang out
from turn to turn.
Yeah,
from turn to turn if you want. Yeah, because I totally jumped from different areas to hit different things, and I love it. I love that about this.
I do like that mechanic, especially in not just this game but other games that do it, because it feels like you get blah, 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 blah. Like you guys said.
That's a good point.
Yeah, like you guys said, it's like a catch-up mechanic where like. Someone may be like, oh, man, I'm last. But it's like, oh, I am last.
So, and here's an interesting thing, right? So Dan and Jeff and I really pushed it I had a ton of movement cards and stuff. So we pushed it all the way to the very end to try to get all the roses. You know what I mean? Like just to see, we wanted to see the mechanics. Right?
I went into the game saying I'm not making it out because I'm going for that rose.
and so I think the furthest Bob made it was maybe over here, right? Maybe just into the mountains.
I came across
line.
this boat here
Yeah.
and came right back.
Okay,
So halfway through the board.
So had Bob made it back to score points, right?
I would have on the rookie side.
But you would have won. But you would have had by far the most points,
Sure.
and you didn't go near as far as everybody else.
Yeah, I ate a lot more vampires.
Or
humans.
Yeah, what are you doing?
I mean, nothing.
You can't kill vampires. That's against the code.
That's true.
But I mean, you know, and again, the missions are really nice because they don't penalize you for not having them
Right.
completed.
It's definitely a game, though. Every game that's like this is like this, right? But when a game gives you missions and it gives you ways to get more missions, take as many missions as you can.
I
Get
had
those
a ton of
in-game
them.
points.
There are
I had a lot
a
of
ton of
points.
spots where you can get missions.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it wants you to do that.
Yeah,
I
and there's
feel.
2 public ones also
Yeah.
that
Right.
everyone sees the whole game. Yep.
Yep. No, I mean, that's
I do like the iconography. I want to point out here, where so while each one has a little block of text of what it does, it gives you a symbol as to like what it affects, right?
Yes.
So this person here has this little bat with the dots around it, so that means that its ability is going to affect the hunt track because this is the hunt track, right?
Correct.
And so this guy's got like a little jar of holy water. So if you know what the holy water ability does, you don't have to read all the text underneath, and so
right. It just means you can hunt.
Yep.
But yes, it does help. I wish they had just a little player aid, a 2-sided
Yes.
player aid, one that just
Agreed.
one that had a turn summary, and then the other side that had an icon list and just with a real brief explanation of all the
That's
icons.
true. Well, what's fortunate is with the size of the rule book, it'd be real easy to make some copies.
That's true.
It would,
hand
but
them
again,
out.
they don't really lay
Have
it
it
out like
concise.
super well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, though, I guess if there was a PDF of this, it wouldn't matter which size the rulebook was. Then you could print it
Oh.
out regardless.
Oh boy.
Shots fired.
I just realized this, though. This whole mechanic, this show the symbol, but then explain exactly what is right next to it, that's so Richard Garfield.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
Magic the Gathering thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
This
Yeah.
has trample. What does trample do?
It does this.
It's right here.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
very him. Yeah.
But yeah, so components wise, we'll just go through a couple things and point out things we like. So I think the iconography on the cards and the board is great.
Yep.
I wish that there was a more obvious way to
Yeah.
indicate
The bonus points.
the bonus points. So you get extra points for planes and extra points for the forest. It took us a minute to also learn that this is the mountain region and this is the cemetery. This is the castle.
Well, the castle was
Yeah, that was
obvious.
a bit confusing.
Well, the castle is obvious, but you know what I mean. Like
Yeah,
just
yeah,
to
yeah.
totally delineate. Once we
It's
had
just
it,
a little weird because they're all pretty obvious.
And maybe on the rookie side, it is a little more obvious. I don't know.
no, I don't think so.
They're all pretty
But-
obvious when you look at it, but it's just like, so calling this the cemetery when there's also all these cemeteries around is
Yeah.
just weird.
Right.
And then there's also where you get the rose from. There's a giant cemetery.
No, there's
and
a labyrinth.
There's a labyrinth.
there's a labyrinth, but I'm saying there's there's 2 small ones next to each other,
Yeah.
but they look bigger because those are the public ones. It's just weird that there's so many cemeteries, but this is the cemetery.
Right. So
a little weird.
like in the book, there's not a spot that just says this is this part of the board and this is this part of the board. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
right.
Yeah.
It just kind of relies on you using your eyes.
Correct.
The mountains are the ones that look like mountains.
Yeah.
And actually, it's really more like a plateau. But
Right. But anyways, there's a few quibbles here and there, but I love that there are
yeah,
different.
Different routes you can take.
I love that there's different routes, right? The boats get you around a lot faster, but you cannot hunt if you're on a boat. You can only hunt when you're on the islands. I love the wells, right? The wells will let you hunt an extra time,
Yeah.
but you can only hunt from the one
pile.
space
Column.
or column
As
in,
your
in the
extra.
track as your extra. I mean, there's just a lot of neat things. Once you understand the iconography, man, it just really
Now,
really moves.
You separate all these starting cards. Does everybody have the same starting deck?
I don't
I
believe
looked
So
and it
not
looked the
asymmetrical,
same.
they're
So-
the same.
Yeah, because I think there's a vampire strength, a
Yep.
couple vampire speeds, vampire thirst,
Yep.
and the hunger, right?
Exactly.
But there's little icons on here that just with your character's
so you know,
face,
what your deck is.
which is awesome because
Yeah.
it's like here's your starting cards, and it's just that, nice and easy. Boom, 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 hand them out.
A little asymmetric ability might have been cool, but maybe expansion or something.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Sure.
what Clank did, right? Wait for an
true.
expansion, then it got it.
This is
so.
true.
So, but anyways, The tokens, the card quality is nice. The tokens are pretty
I was gonna
nice.
say that card quality is good. I'd probably sleeve it.
These all do exactly. I mean, they're functional, right? You don't need anything crazy here. I like these.
Did you have to put the stickers on, or they?
Nope, they came stickered, right? They look good. They look like the art.
Jason's happy because this is a game where miniatures wouldn't work because you can't have the flip mechanic.
Right.
So.
I do like the kind of character-ish art style.
Oh,
of,
Yeah,
I
dig
do.
the art style.
of
It's
the
good.
cards.
I don't love that orange
These
is
colors.
brown.
Oh,
Yeah,
That is a really
these-
bad orange.
Like, and those two look very similar for the colorblind folks out there.
Okay.
I have a really hard time telling those two apart.
Sure. So the good thing
Like,
is
go with
you've got
white or
the
black or
image,
something
but
like
that doesn't look.
Yeah,
The
so
scoring
I could not
token
keep score. I'd have to
doesn't-
probably
So, like,
mark it.
Put
or
a little
something.
dot on there or something, right?
Yep,
so you
yep.
could indicate that one is the other. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, pretty solid.
Yeah, the insert looks okay. I guess I haven't tried to put anything away in here. But it's got little wells and stuff in it, so we'll have to
Seems fine.
see if it fits sleeve cards or not. We
Yeah.
don't know if it does.
Right. And I do like also because this plays up to 6 players.
It has like the Caverna board.
It's got this
Yeah,
the
modular.
track is modular, so you can build it.
Oh,
so you
To
need
hold more
rows.
cards
You
I was
need
wondering about that.
you
Yeah.
need one extra row
per player.
per player,
Okay.
right? So 2 players, you need 3 rows.
Sure.
So there's all kinds of great ways to
Manipulate that.
manipulate and accommodate that. So
Cool.
does a lot of things right. So yeah, we're gonna rate this game. Dan, how do we do that?
So we're each going to rate it from 1 to 10 and give you our personal opinions so that if you agree with one of us more than others, that's the score that matters to you. But then also at the end, we will average them all together so that we have one score from Board Game Rundown that we can put on Board Game Geek and Facebook and stuff like that.
Right on.
All right.
Jeff,
Yes.
why don't you go first, buddy?
Okay. I think I come down on a 7 on this.
Okay.
Okay.
You, by the
Okay.
way, have only played Clank once, I believe, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But I did like it so much that the day after we played it, I went out and bought it.
Nice.
Oh, right on.
So I will
love
say this.
Clank.
And this is a lot like Clank, and it is themed specifically to that kind of horror vampire-ish thing.
Yes.
But kind of like Clank, it doesn't take itself too seriously.
No,
Right.
yeah, it's pretty fun. Pretty
yeah,
lighthearted.
it's a fun, lighthearted game. I think if I had this game, I could get certain people to play this.
Sure.
You
So
know?
you said a 7?
A 7, yes.
All right. Bobby.
Well, my biggest problem that I had with it was that I felt like I was always last, right? Since I didn't get to go very far and I was hunting early, not realizing like how all the mechanics were going to shake out, I was always behind and I always had to go last. So I always had last pickings of what was on the hunt track, and that was a little unfortunate. Right up until the end, until you try to divert and go a different way and get an extra turn,
Right.
You know, but
It worked.
It did, sort of, mostly, and but I definitely like to try it again. I would definitely recommend for your first play to use the rookie side.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hammer that point home enough.
Don't be proud.
But yeah,
If
no,
you're
I'll give
playing
it
with your
a
children,
yep.
play the rookie side.
First time rookie. Look what the word means. I give it a 7.
A 7?
Yeah, I give it a 7.
All right.
I definitely play it again. I'm not gonna rush out and grab it right away. Like we have a copy available, so like we can check it out. And maybe if I play it a few more times, I'll enjoy it. But we'll see.
Sure. Daniel.
This game is just way too limiting, man. It's so constricting. You feel like you don't have time to do anything. And I just, in general, don't like that in games. I don't like, man, we played that one intense worker placement game. Oh, man, I can't think of what it is. The banking one.
Oh, Pig Yao?
Yeah.
Oh, Ping Yao.
Oh, man.
I thought
so
you were gonna-
constricting.
I thought you
know?
were talking about the one where you're the aliens excavating Earth, Expedition Earth.
Oh
or
no!
whatever.
Also, though, insanely constricting.
Yes.
But I just don't love that. Like honestly, I would be interested in trying this game with the Clank rule of once someone returns to the castle, you have
Then your
one,
time-
you have
Oh,
two
yeah.
returns left or
Something like
whatever.
that.
You know,
Right, yeah.
like I would be
Yeah.
interested in trying that out because that you just
15
feel like you
turns.
can't do anything. You're like, well, this is clearly the smartest move to take on my turn, so I just have to follow this, or I'm gonna get 0 points. Right? As you can see, 3 of us got 0 points. You know, like, and that's constricting, man.
But it's a
So-
push your luck thing, and you don't always love push
yeah,
your
and I
luck.
also don't love push your luck in
But
general.
ironically, you say you don't love push your luck, and you pushed your luck so hard.
Yeah, because I went into the game saying, well, I'm getting 0 points, and guess what?
That's why I doesn't like it.
Nailed it. But
it never works.
No, I definitely don't dislike the game. Is the thing. Almost everything in here, I actually love and prefer over Clank. I love this card system, this sliding card collecting card system. I love the art. I love the theme. I love these different spots. This well mechanic is interesting. These treasure mechanics is kind of just a limited version of the Clank thing. The Clank thing has those circles in like every other space, it seems. And in this one, it's limited, so it's kind of a race. I like how you get these. I like the rose mechanic, which again is kind of like in Clank, getting the best artifact,
the big treasure,
and trying to head back. The difference here is that the roses in this one become like gain 2 points every turn if you don't hunt. Like they become a every turn point thing. So as you're heading back, they're just these passive points you're getting. So that's interesting too. Almost everything here I like more than Clank. And then that darn 15-round tractor thing comes in, and it almost brings me down to like a 6.5. I literally hate that feeling. I hate it.
See, okay, go on.
But the game's awesome.
So let me ask about that mechanic, because was it both of you or just one of you had turns even after the 15?
I grabbed the parasol, which gave me
if I had enough moves,
movement.
I would have, and I probably would have made it. But I was literally 2 moves short.
So there are ways to extend your time a little bit after that, but it's very rare, I'm assuming.
And again, you just learn after your first play, okay, well, I need more movement cards. I need to focus movement cards. I need to focus these. I need to, and you learn that
or
after your
just
first
not
game.
go as far.
Well, sure, but again, first game doesn't matter.
I didn't even go halfway through the map.
Yeah, that's true. Bob only went halfway, didn't make it back.
Yeah.
But that was because you were
hunting a lot.
You were hunting a lot, so it was clogging up your hand. I mean, you literally had like turns where you had like just one card with speed on it.
Which again is the balance. That's why Bob got 80 points but didn't win. He got 0 because he built his deck points, right? But he didn't build it for movement. And that sucks. Like, honestly, I felt like I had a really good deck. I honestly almost feel like I had the best built deck. Not that matters, but I had the good even of I was one space away from, or one turn away from getting to the end with an insane amount of points. Bob and I also tied on one of the things that then had a bonus that gave out. Like again, it doesn't matter, but I felt like my deck was really well built. But then you learn, man, those movement things are insane. you know,
and I sacrificed points and took a lot of movement.
Yeah, again, he got the most points because he won. But
he had the fewest points.
But
he had the most
one
points.
I didn't have the fewest
movement.
Points. I had.
Well, again, you only don't have the
fewest.
because you won.
Yeah.
Right? That's the only reason you don't have the fewest.
But
so
I
it's
don't.
like this insane. No, I know. I'm just saying, so you have to know how to build your deck in this perfect middle ground of movement and points and be like, oh, Bob has 30 more points than me. I don't care. I'm going to win. Or, oh, man, I don't have any points, but I'm going to win. Or I have all these points. This is really nice, but I get 0 points. So
or you could be like me and just do neither.
I'm just going to rant because it's insane.
Yeah, so
I know. I'm gonna go with a 7 for now.
Okay.
I'm telling you, though, I'm leaned on going lower for now, but I think that now that we understand certain cards, it's gonna get meaner because now we know which cards are good, and it's gonna get closer. It's gonna we know what we're doing now.
Yeah, because I think the scores are gonna come down a little bit.
The scores will come down and they'll even out.
Next time we should play on the advanced side.
That's a good move. Well, there's only one side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm gonna come down on a 7, but that's like a weak 7, guys. I could go lower right now. I'll probably go higher in the future with more plays. It's like this wibbly teetering. Like I think because again, at the end of the day, I would recommend it. I would say though, under my recommendation thing, if you love Clank, check this out.
Yeah.
It's a very constrictive version of that game. Yeah. If you don't own Clank or this, I would recommend Clank. I would say get Clank. I think it is
It's very good.
It's I enjoy Clank more. So
because
far.
there's no time limit on it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a big thing.
Well, yeah.
Again,
Well,
just for
kind
me.
of.
Right. There's not a built-in
It's a
time.
player-built
Right.
time
Yeah.
limit. Yeah, which is interesting.
So the
to me.
player then
So
can
just don't play with jerks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, after all that's a lot of information I needed to
was
spill
a
out.
lot.
But I have strong opinions here. I am so teetering on this game right now. I can't wait to play it again and figure out some more strategies and
Talk
how
more
things
about
play.
it, yeah.
And test out other mechanics that might ruin the game.
Fair enough. I hate the rule book.
Yeah, that too.
I hate it. It was
I didn't look at it.
a pain in the butt to set up. But again, though, like I already knew how to play the game coming into the game. It was just like the minutia, right? How many cards do we draw each round? Because everything else, because I played other games similar,
Right.
it all built. You're just scaffolding, right, off of all of that. So the game itself is very intuitive. I think if you got somebody that knows how to play the game and they're not going off the rule book, you're going to have a very easy learn.
Sure.
It's going to be a very easy teach. It's pretty straightforward. Unlike Dan,
Yes.
where this is a negative,
Oh, I hate it.
I love the pressure. I love that, like, okay.
Well, you have a gambling
so
problem.
I'm going that far. So I know, yeah, hey, you know what, though? I won.
Yeah. Yeah.
I won.
Yeah, well, everyone, the house doesn't always win.
But no, I like this. I like this.
It keeps it from overstaying its welcome.
Right, correct. Not that any game of Clank I've ever played has overstayed its welcome,
Correct.
because any time where it's like, well, I'm about out of
Yeah,
here.
later.
Because the other thing with Clank, though, is like you're losing health constantly,
Yeah.
potentially,
Yeah.
right? So that also motivates everybody to start to try to end
true,
the game.
right.
So where this, instead of that mechanic, this is a nice alternative. Because I would wonder if you sat down and saw how many turns Clank went, if it went more than 15.
It does.
Does it?
Yeah.
Do you know that from playing Legacy?
Well, I've played a ton of Clank. And
Okay.
I would say it's more than 15 turns pretty easily.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will say to that end though, before we set this up and before we knew what everything looked like, I almost assumed how people were talking that the track almost had like colors to it to like be like it's getting closer and closer to
right. Right.
daylight.
yeah,
That might
it's
be
just
a
like-
that might
it's
have
just
been that might have been a fun thing.
sun.
daytime.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
No, that would have been a nice
Nice
design
touch.
choice.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I love the way the market
The idea
market
of the track, yes.
because the nice thing was also, though, if you wanted cards, there was always cards for everybody to get. Even if somebody got the ones you wanted, there was still plenty of cards.
There was a couple times there was only like 3 cards for me to choose from.
Sure.
And they'd be all the super expensive ones.
But at the same time, then you just move more.
Not if I don't have any move.
But then you're not buying the cards.
Yeah, then
Yeah,
not
because
buying
they're all super expensive. But the cheap ones that I could afford are now gone.
Sure. But then there's other things on the board you can do.
Yeah, sure.
Because you say that, right? You're like, oh, but I didn't get to buy all the cards I wanted to buy. Had
I
you
had a
made
ton-
it
I had a
back,
ton of cards.
you would have scored 80 points.
Yeah.
So boo-hoo, because you were still scoring a ton of points.
Right, and
Yeah.
Bob was technically, I would say, 1 round away from making it, depending
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
your next draw.
Yeah, I could have made it.
Yeah.
Same thing.
On the
If I
advanced
had taken
Yes.
my move instead of that
Yes.
ridiculous buy at the end, I probably was 1 turn away too. Again, depending on cards, I was like
Right.
9 away. It's risky.
No, you guys got very, very, very close. And I feel like in future games, you are not going to have that issue.
Right.
Now, that doesn't take away the fact that you don't love the timer.
Well, the
counting down
last
on
thing I want to say about the timer too is I almost perfectly timed it too, to where I started heading back on round 8, and there's 15 rounds, so that's almost as close to halfway as you
Right,
can get.
right.
And I just couldn't make it, and that's part of not knowing how to build your deck because the movement mechanic stuff, right? But I'm just saying, another just constrictive thing about that thing was I wanted to test go in half. Come back in half. How does
Yeah.
it feel?
Yeah.
And again, technically, I missed it by 1, maybe 2 rounds, so that's not bad.
Nope.
But I don't know.
I love it.
Just
Anyways,
feeling like I can't do anything.
I love the
you know?
pressure. I never felt like I couldn't do anything. Now, there were turns that are less optimal than others.
Sure.
But
There were literally turns you didn't do anything though. So how can you have turns where you didn't feel like you did? Like where you're just like, oh well, I can't move this turn. I'll buy the 2 cheap cards or whatever. You
no,
know,
I could have moved. I chose not to.
sure you can move 2 is what I'm saying,
Right.
or you could buy 2 cheap
Yeah,
cards.
that's the
Well,
balance.
then you had turns like, oh, I have 7, so let me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But I wouldn't move all 7 because I'm spending some of that to then buy cards. Now, you guys were buying cards with points. I was buying cards with powers. So that's also the difference, right? Because I kept buying powers. Now, granted, I had a quest that gave me points for powers, so that kind
That's why you went that way.
yeah, Dan called it
Alright.
early. I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways,
funny.
all that being
It makes a lot more
said,
sense now that he. Okay.
this is an 8 for me. It would be an 8.5, but I hate this rule book so much. It really,
the half-point rule book.
I
man.
want this game with some player aids would be fantastic.
Yep.
I look forward to playing it more. I don't feel like this eliminates Clank. I feel like that this you play, you could have both in your collection, assuming you like this style of game. You could have both in your collection and be fine. The themes are different. They play similar, but they're different enough.
Different enough.
I
wouldn't
enjoy
mind owning
this.
it. It's-
I enjoy this track a lot. I love the look.
Yeah, I wish
like
Clank had something
the
like this.
the
Yeah,
board. The board looks great. I love the market, and the theme is really fun. The way that you can buy and build your deck, and some of the cards like the spicy thing, right?
Yeah.
None of us
Interesting.
ever bought the dude with spicy.
Yeah.
But if you have a spicy card, like when you play him, he stays out until you get to a well, and you have to move towards a well on your next turn.
Yeah.
Because you got to get the
Spice out of your mouth.
Yeah, it's very funny. I had one confused guy.
Oh,
Yeah,
the confused guy's hilarious.
Yeah.
So they're like, it's like a drunk villager, and they always are walking away from the castle.
Which early game's awesome.
Early game is awesome because
The
that's
late game.
Yeah.
late
screwed
game
you
is
over.
terrible.
Yeah.
Like, stop.
I had the
You had a whole
the
move
four,
negated.
Move four back, move
the
four
four
forward.
spaces, but then I could just move forward. It's just like I didn't move anywhere.
Yeah, hilarious.
So if you combine all of our scores together, 7.3. That's not too bad.
Right. I mean, I'm comfortable with that. I thought you guys liked it more than your scores show, but I understand all of your points.
It's just like none of us dislike it, right? But
Yeah,
we're
I
just in
didn't-
this
no, yeah,
weird
didn't
limbo
dislike it.
middle where we're
Well,
like, where's this going?
I came into
little
this
bit of a rough
thinking it
first
might be.
playthrough.
I think I came into this thinking, oh, this might be like a 9 or a 10.
Right.
You know, because I love deck building games.
Sure.
I'm pretty close, right? 8, but in maybe 8.5. But I hate the rule book. But other than that, man, I mean, I think it's a really good game.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's very accessible. You could just like Clank, it's very accessible. You could teach
Yeah. it's not
most
hard
people
teach
how
at
to play
all.
this,
Mhm.
and yeah, I would, especially now that we've all played, right?
Yeah.
So it's different. It's different your first time playing.
Yeah.
You're
I can
learning
definitely
the
see my
mechanics.
score going up a little bit after a couple of plays.
But now when we're teaching people how to play, it's like, hey, just so
Yeah.
you know,
this is an important card.
these are
Yes.
important. Don't neglect the quests.
Yep.
I mean, like any game, right? They put these on the board so that you can
Dude, I
score
had a lot of
points.
quests.
That you were going to win by scoring points.
Yep.
You know, so try to get all the things that allow you to score points. But yeah, I mean, the hunger, pretty good. Yeah, pretty good.
It wasn't
pretty good.
It wasn't a solid 10 for me just because David Bowie wasn't represented, but that's
Oh well,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
he's dead now.
Oh my god.
Anyways, so this has been the hunger for the board game rundown. I've been Tim.
I've been Bob.
I've been Jeff.
I was Dan.
We'll see you next time.
Wow.
Thanks for checking out the Board Game Rundown. If you like what you saw, like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Share our videos on social media and spread the word. We publish new content weekly, including reviews, unboxing, and Let's Plays. And as always, thanks for watching.